Good morning, guys. Have something a little different for you today. I want to talk to you about the history of BigRed, because something I've never said before is my dad bought me this truck when I was 15 years old. So got me a little cup of coffee. We're gonna head to a park so we can do a little filming. But first off, I just want to pull it up, get a little soapy water and a brush and get her cleaned up for us. Okay guys, we're ready to go. Alright, so with this whole coronavirus thing going on, all the nice parks where the lakes are and all that stuff are usually packed with people. So we're gonna head across the street to the football, baseball fields for the county and hopefully have a good spot over there to video. Woo. Cold tires. Okay guys, we're at the park with BigRed, and like I said, I wanted to share with you all the history because I think it's pretty fun, pretty important, and you know, it kind of brings some more info to you guys about BigRed more than it's just a truck for the channel. So when I was 15 years old, you know, it's time to start looking for a truck. Me and my dad are going down Highway 90, Tallahassee, Florida, and saw BigRed sitting on the side of the road at a car dealer. We pull in there and it's everything that we want. So that thing had brand new paint and it was brand new seats. It was nice. This is in 1996, summer of 1996. So we got the truck for I think $2,500 back then, and it had 154,000 miles on it. Well, I did some things to it and I was so careful with the truck. I washed it all the time. I actually washed it the night before school every time I took it to school, and if there was dew on it, I'd dry it off because I didn't want windshield wiper marks on it. So it was like, it was my baby. I took super good care of it and loved the truck. Now, when I got it, it had little Kelly, the old Kelly tires, the Kelly Chargers, like a 235 75 15. And other than that, it was stock. And it was a 318 two barrel, but what was special about it is it had a 727 transmission and the 9 1/4 rear end with a posi, or with the sure grip. So that was kind of rare for a 318 two barrel to have the hardcore drivetrain in it. So you know, if you know these trucks, most of the time you get a 904 transmission with an 8 1/4 rear end, and it's just weak stuff. So made for a good platform for later on. But anyway, so I drove the thing through high school some, and mom and dad, they were kind of worried about the gas mileage, so they traded me an 89 Jeep Cherokee Laredo four-wheel drive for red truck. And we still kept the red truck at the house, and I drove it to school, you know, quite a bit still. I just switched between the two. Then dad Dad went and put some, once the tires wore out, Dad put some 31 1050s on it, and they were all-terrain BFGs. Nice tire, but not my style for a two-wheel drive truck. And I remember one day I worked at a car wash, and we had finished for the night. It had gotten dark, and one of my friends asked me to do a burnout in it. So in the parking lot, I started doing a burnout, and there was Armor All on the ground, so it didn't make any smoke, but it started sparking. One of my friends started yelling that the tires are sparking. I was like, what? So anyway, we got to looking, and there was a nail in the back tire causing the sparks. So of course we thought that was cool, so we kept doing burnouts. But you know, there's lots of stories with this truck from when I was a kid. And in fact, there was one, the muffler blew out a section of it, so we put on 2 glass packs with turn downs. And one night I was running down Capitol Circle, middle of Tallahassee, and I was going wide open and let off the gas, and it backfired. Well, my buddy immediately called me on the phone. He's like, man, it shot flames out. So, you know, just crazy stuff. The truck had been around, you know, for all kinds of adventures. But, you know, we can't talk about all that. I'm trying to keep this short for you guys. But, let's see what else. So, one thing that's pretty crazy about this truck, in 2001, I sold it. So the truck was sitting at the house, nobody was using it, and in 2001 the truck was sold for $2,800, working AC, stock 318, and the truck was still immaculate. Well, for years we said, me and my dad, man, I wish I wouldn't have sold that truck. That was a great truck. And we sold it with 195,000 miles or so. So the guy that bought it and a few other guys that came and looked at it, there's no way that truck has that many miles. It drives too good, it looks too clean. But and in fact, I have some pictures from when we bought it. I'm gonna add those in. Of course, they're low quality from 1996. But we sold the truck in 2001 and regretted it from day one. Well, in 2011, I'd moved away. 2011, I moved back to Tallahassee. As usual, I'm on Craigslist looking for anything. In 2012, I believe June or July, I found an 86 Dodge Ram on Craigslist with no pictures for $500. And I was like, well, that's cool. I want to go look at it. Called the guy. He's like, can I come look at it? He's like, yeah, it's at the shop. It's broke. The motor's blown up. I said, okay, well, I want to look at it. And I pulled up, and I immediately recognized it was BigRed because there's a DZ cap over the tailgate, and it also had a toolbox that my mom and dad bought me for my 16th birthday, and it was one of the deep ones that go all the way to the floor. I knew immediately, BigRed, as I pulled up. And I went ahead and just called the guy. I said, this is my old truck. He goes, yep, I bought it from you. He had blown the motor up in it twice, and he said he was done with it. He spent enough money on it. He wanted to get rid of it. But when he had it, he drove this thing every day to work and towed a Ranger bass boat. And probably towing that boat, I would assume he got a little spark knock or something, got it hot and blew the motor, but who knows. Anyways, I bought the truck back from the guy that I sold it to in 2012. When I got it back to the house, I sold the toolbox because I knew it was going to be like a sport truck. So toolbox gone, sold it for $100. So now I'm in the truck for $400. The motor that is now in Mr. Jones was the motor I put in this truck. It was a 2000 Dodge Ram 2500, 360, unknown mileage. Went to the guy's house, picked it up, $600. I put a Proform dual plane intake, which is about $200, set of headers, $150 used vacuum secondary carburetor, which is on there now. And that motor ran in there from 2012 to 2006. Like I said, that motor's now in Mr. Jones. Unknown mileage. We're not worried about it. But anyway, so in 2016, I found a short block from a friend for $150 and started the build of what you know now is BigRed, which runs 12s in the quarter mile. I have that in another video. I can post that in the links so you can see the whole breakdown. But we're about to do a little walk around of how it is now. So the truck set up now, lowered, the motor, transmission rebuilt, all that stuff, has been now in there almost 5 years. It was put in July of 16, I believe. No, July of 15. So we're almost at the 5 year mark. This thing, I drive it anywhere. I've had 2 breakdowns with it that are non-related to like mechanical breakdown or whatever. It was the feed line to the oil pressure gauge, an aftermarket cheap oil pressure gauge. It was the copper line broke and just started spewing oil. So I plugged it and actually hadn't been running an oil pressure gauge. Need to do that. So this truck, during the spring and the fall and in the winter, I will daily drive this thing 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row. It is dead reliable, but it is not pretty and not everything works. So let's walk around and see how the current state of BigRed is. Okay, so like I said, when I sold this thing, it was mint. The guy that bought it never washed it. The roof was covered in mildew. The hood, it's worse than when I bought it back in 2012, but it's shot. Once it starts like this, man, there's no turning back. So there's been thoughts of painting it, stuff like that, and in the end, I just you know, I like it the way it is. Now, when he had it, you can see that door strip right there has been taken off. I did that when I bought it back. I have some pictures of when I bought it back too. Post those on here. But the door rubbers and the triangle, the vent windows, all that rubber went bad, and he didn't want to replace the rubber, so he found junkyard doors. And when I bought it back, that doors were actually keyed different, and I had 2 keys, so I went and got the door locks keyed to the ignition. And actually, Mr. Jones is keyed to this key, so I can use 1 key for both vehicles. Okay, so when I sold it to him, these are stock rims. There's this dent right here in the bottom. That's for me. So when I was about 20, I bought an 87 Dodge Dakota and I pulled the motor out, and I had the engine lift in the back of the truck, and it was up above the cab. Went to a friend's house and they had a tree hanging low enough that grabbed the engine hoist and slammed it into the bed. So that's what that is. That's from me. And then this one is from Dad. Dad backed it into the mailbox at the lake house. It's still there. Now all the other stuff is from the guy that had it, that I sold it to, and that I bought it back from. And he claims this is all from parking lot damage. But this is the worst part right here. This quarter panel, it has got a nice wrinkle in it. And in fact, yesterday I was talking to David. I was like, man, I could just pop a few holes in there, pull it out, make it nice, weld the holes shut, have the quarter panel looking good. He's like, man, just leave it alone. So this door, like I said, it's been replaced by the other guy. And I think this is the only straight panel on the truck. Hood's got a little ding, which very little ding right there. No idea where that one came from. And then this one's another decent one. That's a scrape there. And back here, this one's, I've beat it out, but when he had it, I don't know if a tree fell on it or what, but this was like beat down pretty far, and I got a piece of wood and a mallet and kind of beat it back up. But red truck's kind of rough, but she runs good, runs 12s in the quarter, and is very reliable. On the inside, like I said before, the seat was brand new whenever we sold it. Sorry about the shadow. and the carpet was brand new when we sold it. There's a cigarette stain or a cigarette burn there, no idea. And then Hula Girl constantly losing her skirt because of the Florida sun just beating it down. So when the wind comes through here, skirt flies everywhere. But I want to keep Hula Girl, but we're gonna have to have a skirt made for her because we can't have her dancing around like that. But yeah, we need a seat cover. The speedometer's not working, cable broke. I bought another cable. It was 100-inch long and it worked for a while, but because it was so long, it ended up binding and broke it too. So now red truck, it sits a lot except for when it's cooler out, because when the summertime comes, it just gets too hot to drive. So I mean, there's tons of stories I could tell you guys with this truck. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but I never did share with you guys that this was my first truck when I was a kid. There was actually one day headed home from school. There's a park over by my school, my high school, and we were jumping the truck. I mean, just for fun, because we were 16 years old. And just tons and tons of stories, but I'm gonna leave it there with you guys. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that. To me, that was a very important part for the channel. The truck has been, you know, pretty much the start of the channel. So now that we're moving into Mr. Jones, there's a little backstory to that too, but we'll get to that later. But this was the start of the channel, so I wanted you guys to know the roots, and I don't know, I just felt it was important, so I wanted to share with you guys. You know, there's always thoughts of selling it, and then thoughts of regret. So we're gonna keep her around for now. Super fun truck, super reliable truck. I love it. She needs front tires too. Those front tires have been on there since I bought it in 2012, so them things are shot. So that's one reason I don't drive it too much right now. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. See you guys next time.